G'day everybody. It's time to talk about Mr. Speaker and how all that section works. The principle of the teachers of our government. Now when it comes to electing the principal, which I think's pretty stupid in a way, it should be at least 50-50, is that the teachers elect the principal, Mr. Speaker, to keep them in line and in order. Right? Pretty much at court. Make sure things are running well when it comes to the teachers. Right? So I like to call it him a principal or her or Mr. Speaker, right? As their job is to fire or to remove people that aren't doing their job. They aren't listening. Right? Their court, even though it's question time, is important all the time. They're meant to show how court really runs, as they're the top and make decisions for court, make laws. So they're the top. They should show and do things right, just like any other court does. All courts is just as serious as each other. They have rules, and they're not meant to be bent unless it's a serious bend. So when they've been asked plenty of times at a court not to speak, then you're not meant to speak, and you're not meant to keep hearing court after court the same issue. How would a real court deal with that? They would get rid of the problem, remove them from court. And if it keeps happening, you have a list. You're meant to write things down, like the police are meant to write things down and put into the system as warnings, because a warning still, they did it, but we let them go. Because if you don't write things down, how many warnings will they get between all the police? They could get quite a lot. So you're meant to write down a list, have a list, even with warnings. Because in that way you can make a decision into the future, pending on all those warnings as well. And you can prove it to them, right? And you go, that's it. And we've got to fix this problem, and this problem's not getting fixed because all I'm doing is warnings, so we've got to come to an end. So it should say in this rule, if you have this many, which it would, they'll have some sort of number, otherwise they can't run the system properly. If I have to continually give you these warnings, then you may just lose your job. First you get a timeout, first you don't let them come back, and then when they come back after those warnings and then they still do it, and they're not good for, say, 2 months. They're meant to be a certain time, even a whole year we'll give them on probation. Then they're out. Simple as that. There goes all stupid arguments that happen in question time or in any court time. So when it comes to what's going on and things aren't happening and why they're repeating, it's caused by the chairman as well. And if they all become buddies, which they are because they elect the chairman, if you want to make things go around and make your job easier when it comes to their system, is you're electing a principal that won't win so much. You see? And then that way yous can carry on. And where's the power in the people to stop that? If they're the ones that elect. I guess we have to elect people that are going to change that. And if they're not, then we're going to get rid of them to get back to the power of the people and elect someone who will elect a proper speaker that will make them make sure they're in line and go, I don't care, we're meant to be doing our job anyway. I don't want a strict one, but I want one at least gives us some warnings, and then on those warnings, do their job. Simple as that. Anyway, I make it sound easy. So when it comes to that not happening, if that doesn't happen, power of the people, you don't see that happening as we now speak about it, or the news, and then they now have to fix it. If they don't, what we need to do is we need to somehow elect people that will change that rule so it's not just them that gets elected, maybe them and us, 50-50, if they can't get their shit together in the next 4-year terms. Give them a little time, but you make a promise, and if that doesn't happen, this is what we're going to do, because we're going to fix the problem. Instead of going around and around, because this around and around, it's causing a lot of problems in all sectors. They like to cause problems, previous governments. All you hear is arguments about previous governments. Fuck up. right? But every government fucks up, as you can see. And what they do is they love to talk about before election time the good things they've done. But if you have a really good look, people, you'll notice that they only fix a quarter of the things they've done. So every time they get in, they might fix a little bit of someone else's issues that makes them sound good, but they don't talk about the issues that they caused. So if they fixed $500 million of that government's issue, but I created $1 billion problem that was a waste of money in this issue, then how do I make myself look good? I've just half fixed the problem already started and I haven't even fixed anything. You see? But they twist words and speak things and get the news to speak things at election time, so you just don't see the real problems. How do we get the people to see the real problems? The radio talks about a lot of things, but I guess the TV's not talking long enough. See, the radio sorts things out because they don't have times where they cut off. They actually just talk about the issue. And in certain sections, maybe that's the best thing to do and not have a time limit when it's important. Why is it so quick if you hardly have question times or this or that? Why is it so important to be so quick at it? They say you shouldn't rush into important things, should you? If you've got short speaking times, then that's just rushing, isn't it? And that'll also cause a repeat as they're trying to get their point out. They might have to do it in 4 sections as it's not long enough to get it all out. Of why they want to re-put that point. And yes, behind the scenes they'll be talking about it, but they're trying to do it in question time why things are still happening. And things might be still happening because in question time, people are all just yelling and screaming and show an example of how teenagers and young kids act at school when they're trying to organise themselves. They end up yelling and screaming and carrying on and need help, don't they? Anyway, have a good one. I don't want to blab too much about it. I've blabbed a fair bit. But I thought I'd blab that about it. And also when it comes to raising voices, they start going out there to speak and they're yelling, like this, and no one's speaking. Well, someone yelling is going to cause, if someone wants to eject, they're going to be even louder, then louder and louder. So the louder the person who's speaking, the louder everything else will get. So if you hear someone going up there starting to carry on a little bit, as we call it, you need to eject and stop that straight away too, and not have any yelling and screaming or loud voices. It's not necessary to have microphones there. What do you call people who are responsible and do things right and do things behind the scenes right and become friends but make sure jobs first and not friends? What do they do and act like when you see them as professionals? We see them in certain courtrooms. Certain things can show us that. So why aren't they doing it? These things got that bad where you've got to argue to get things done. Anyway, have a good one. Bye-bye.